Goal Getting Podcast, episode 28, with our guest, Alex Harris. Want to achieve your dream goal? Listen to the tips from the guy who made it happen to himself. I dropped 70 pounds going from a 4X to a 1X in 4 years. I went from 10K to 6 figures without a college degree. You too can get the goals you set. It's time to live your best life now. I'm your host, Tony Woodall, and welcome to Goal Getting Podcast. Hello, goal getters. Welcome back to Goal Getting Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Woodall, and we are glad to have you back and listening to us today. You had a lot of choices to make to decide on who you are going to listen to today. I am thankful that you chose Goal Getting Podcast. If you are a first-time listener, I want to welcome you. You are very important to me and to the show. We are out here today doing our weekly podcast where I or my guests will bring on tips, ideas, and inspiration to help you get the goals that you set. Today's guest is a good friend, somebody I've met recently for the first time in person at our podcast movement out in Fort Worth, Texas. And Alex is the owner of Alex Designs. He's also the author of a new book, Small Business, Big Money Online, and he's going to provide us with some information on search engine optimization. He is also going to provide some information on conversion rate optimization. These two techniques on your website will help you create a better, more effective, and more efficient website. And in business, if you're a small business person or, an entrepreneur who wants to improve your website, this is the show to listen to. Alex will share some great information, some great products that he recommends. And then we'll get into our Q&A round where we'll talk about books that Alex recommends, some habits that he follows to be successful, as well as the quote that hangs on his wall. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll get on to the show and listen to our good friend, Mr. Alex Harris. Hello, goal getters. Welcome to Goal Getting Podcast. This is your host, Tony Woodall. Today we have a great guest with us today, Mr. Alex Harris. Alex is a well-known author of a best-selling book. He's a CEO of Alex Designs, and he is a marketing optimization expert and a fellow podcaster. Alex has Marketing Optimization Podcast. And Alex, welcome to the show. And how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Tony.
Great. We are so excited because, web design and search engine optimization and, all the things that we need to do to get a good website up and running is a good amount of work and a lot of effort that has to go in there and should go into that. And most people don't spend the time or have the knowledge to do that. So it's good to know that there are experts out there that can help us with that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Alex, and your business. And
Well, thanks for having me, Tony. I've been a website designer and marketing specialist since the year 2000. And I worked in corporate for a very popular dietandfitness.com for 11 years, pretty much 7 years too long. But because I really stayed in my job for so long, I was able to build a freelance business on the side. And I really saw a niche that I was able to fill very early in my career. And I started my business in 2004, and I did freelance web design on the side at night while I worked in the corporate. And the business was really good. I loved the job. It was really my dream job. But unfortunately, we went public, and right after we went public, they fired the CEO, and the board really didn't do a very good job making the company successful. So every year it really deteriorated. And I knew that every single day I could get fired. So I really started to focus on my own branding of website design and marketing. And that's really called conversion rate optimization, the ability to do A/B testing, direct marketing online, and help people make more money from their existing website traffic. So I started to focus on being a landing page web designer, conversion funnel expert, and focusing on e-commerce as well. And I took all of those skills And when I was finally let go in the year 2011, I was unemployed for 30 minutes, the distance of my drive home, because I had already established myself online and really started to focus on becoming an entrepreneur. And now in the last 4 years, I've been, on my own, working from home, doing freelance web design, consulting, and things like that. And I do things a lot differently than most website designers. I love to create beautiful websites. I focus on making them actually convert. It's just not that hard to create a pretty website anymore. It is hard to make it actually convert. So that's what me and my team do. We do conversion rate optimization, A/B testing, split testing. So we look at analytics and insight and surveys and figure out how people are actually using your website. And then we use that data to make a hypothesis and then use A/B testing to validate our hypothesis by creating new designs and improving your conversion rates.
But when you talk about conversion rate optimization, that is something that most people don't really think about. We create a website, we stick it out there, and they just kind of let it go there. We're not really focusing on the actual conversion or how to do that. So what are some of your, what is conversion rate optimization for the average person out there?
It's really, conversion is a metric that you use. It's the number of visitors divided by the number of leads or sales that you generate. That percentage is actually your conversion rate. And it's become, pretty accustomed now to people kind of know, I need to improve my conversions. Yes. And conversion is probably a bad buzzword for it. We're really focusing on making our marketing more efficient. Because why should you spend a whole bunch of time or money on something that's not working? Instead of just making those assumptions and as the business owner just guessing what works, instead we flip it around and we actually use data to figure out why people aren't buying, why they are buying, and then where they're actually going on the website. And we use those metrics to actually figure out how you can make more money.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's, again, I think a lot of people, when they put a website, especially small businesses, we think about, we have to have a website. That's a given in today's, society. But we don't really think that much about conversion or, getting our customers to actually buy something or making it worthwhile. So I think that's very important. But data is key. And a lot of people, again, don't think about you have the ability to pull data off of your website and things like that. To make it more efficient. Again, our whole goal of, I think, having a website besides branding and things, what should it be? It should be to, get something back from that, correct?
Yeah. And, it ties into goal setting. We all, as businesses, we want to have certain objectives, and certain goals. We want to make more money. We want to generate more leads. We want to spread our word. We want to get more traffic, improve our content marketing, have more reach. So all of those goals can be broken down into small achievements that you can make in order to get the bigger picture happen. So just like, your own personal goals in life, you can have your own goals on your website, generate more leads, turn those leads into prospects into sales, get more website hits, have more reach, get your social media to expose more, have more podcast downloads. Each of those different goals, you need to have a strategy for.
Excellent. No, that's cool. That is really good, there to have that. And, I appreciate you bringing that out. That, again, our business needs goals. We need to be able to set those and be able to reach those, and even with our websites. Now, Alex, what are some of the biggest problems that small businesses have with websites that they need to think about?
Well, it really starts with too many businesses make assumptions about what the customer wants. You, as a business owner, you probably want your website to look like, you want it to look great. You want it to look like X. But you should really start to think about what the customer really wants. How can you design and optimize your website for the customer? So what you want to do is put yourself in their shoes. Think of the website like they would think of it. People talk about creating your avatar, your target audience. So you really have to nail down what that really means. What are their pains, problems, and desires that your website is probably missing? So the first thing is that you don't want to make assumptions. You want to really start to survey your audience and understand really what they want. That's really the first step. Now you also want to see the website like they would see it. So I would challenge your audience to, okay, take out your smartphone. You may be listening to it on this podcast right now, but after this podcast, take out your smartphone and look at your website on the mobile experience. As soon as the page loads, within a second, if it's not very, very clear what the relevance is to them, what value you're offering, and clear of what to do next, if you don't have a clear call to action above the fold in that active window, then people don't know what to do next. You're not generating enough leads because it's not clear to them what to do next. So you want to see it as they would see it. And then finally, the last thing I would say that they do wrong is that they're not changing their website enough. That's bottom line. The majority of people just put up a website and they never ever change it. Even me, I'm super guilty of this myself. But for my clients, I make sure that we're always iteratively making changes so we can always figure out what's working and what's not.
Yeah, and I think you got three big keys out here that I think are important. The making the assumption that you know what the customer wants is something we all do. We have this desire to make this perfectly beautiful website, but we really don't think about what our customer's there for. And I think you hit on a very big point there. You've got to make sure that you know what the customer's looking for, because otherwise they're not going to come there. So I think that's wonderful. Then the other one you're talking about here is mobile experience. That, I think 85% is what I was reading the other day of people that get on the web nowadays are doing it on the mobile. That's all I use is my mobile for looking at things, and I think that's key. So that's called responsive design or something along that line. Is that correct?
Yeah, responsive is part of it. Responsive is the ability for your website to compress or become fit into whatever size browser you're using, whether it's a desktop, a mobile experience, or a tablet. So it fits into the experience that you're using. But what the problem is that most responsive websites, by default, their themes, they compress the site and it rechanges the page to just be longer, and it usually pushes the most important information down to the very, very bottom. 2 or 3, scrolls down. Okay, finally there's an email opt-in. What you want to do is customize it, or for lack of better words, hack your theme to have a call to action or a lead generation box above the fold in the active window. So as soon as it loads, right there it says top 10 tips for your goal setting improvements, and there's a clear button, free download, with a picture of that that PDF or that download. So there's some clear value. And so you want to adapt the website design to your needs, your objectives, your goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that's key, because I have noticed when I go to websites on my smartphone that it does exactly that. I have to go all the way down to the bottom to be able to opt in or to, engage with the owner of that website if I wanted to do that. So that I hadn't thought about that myself. That's very important to think about. That's a good tip. So thanks. That's a good golden nugget there for you goal getters to pay attention when you're looking at your website and trying to, make sure it's designed properly, to make sure you have your call to action above the fold, especially on the mobile devices. Because again, I had noticed that. So thank you, Alex. Now you also, again, talked about that call to action and being above the fold. What exactly is that for our listeners? And, what is it? I mean, a call to action, what are some good call to actions that they might use to, increase their conversions?
Yeah, the call to action, the CTA, is just a fancy buzzword for the text or the label that goes on the button. That's, what it says right there. A lot of people just, they use the default label that comes with, in WordPress, it'd be like Gravity Forms or a certain type of form that you're using. And it usually says something like submit. Like, nobody wants to submit to anything.
That's right. I shall not comply. No.
Yes, exactly. We do not want to submit unless you're into some weird kinky stuff.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, so you got to change that. Make sure it's.
And so you want to replace that label, that text on the button, with a call to action that's really persuasive. That it really it supports whatever the product or service that you're giving away in the email opt-in. So let's say, okay, we come up with a lead magnet or a downloadable PDF that's the top 10 tips to improve your goals in 2015. It's a very easy, like 1 or 2 page download that you're giving away, and it's focused on some very specific results. So what you want to do is have a headline that says, get your free download of the top 10 tips for your goal setting, and then have the button also say free download. Because even though it says free multiple times, people will only really read it once or twice. And then you also want to have a supporting image there. That's why you see those pictures of books, because people want to give their email address to you for something of extreme value in return. So that's really the ideal scenario. And of course, you have to test it to make sure that it's right for you. That's not necessarily going to work for everybody, but that's really the ideal scenario.
Great. Thank you. And that's, the other thing you talked about was not changing enough, and I found that to be very negative when you go to a website and it's the same static information every single time. What's the point of going there? That's not only in corporate websites that I see, but also company intranet sites that I've seen in the past and currently. They just never change that. So I think that's a big point you brought out that needs to be conveyed as well. So when you're a small business is going out and creating their own website, a lot of times they go to the free website design companies where, the Wixes and the Vistaprints and the things like that. Are those able to be, utilize some of the CRO or SEO type techniques on there, or do you have any control over that?
Yeah, for the most part, a web page, if you go with something like a Wix or something like that, you're going to lose a little bit of flexibility that most websites have, like a Word website. But those could certainly serve your purpose for the time being, because in particular the web page is made up of images and text, so you can change all that. So as long as the web page loads easily and that it's clear about the headline, maybe the bullets and the easy to read text, as long as it's really clear that you're on the right page for whatever your product or service you're selling, and it's persuasive enough for them to actually take action. So the scenario that I want to articulate for this is, whenever you go to Google and you type in a certain search query, you type that into to search for something, you have a problem that needs to be solved. And as soon as you hit enter and you get all those search results really should be solving the problem of that query. So whether you're sending it to an advanced website or just a basic Wix website, you have the ability to change it and make it more persuasive to solve the problem that they were searching for in the beginning.
Yep. Cool. Now that's true. So you want to make sure the text and the keywords that you're using within your website are those that answer the questions that the user or the customer has, as you said, the problem that they're trying to get resolved. So very good point there. So what are some of the top tips that you have for a small business that needs to, grow their optimization, their conversion or lead generation on a website? What are the top things that, a company can do or a business can do to improve that?
I would probably start with what we call our quick win process. We go through and we look at your Google Analytics. So you want to really start with your data. Try to really understand how people are browsing through your website. So I would start with what we call the 80-20. Majority of websites are broken up into that Pareto's principle, 80-20. You're making 80% of your traffic off of 20% of your pages. So you can go into Google Analytics and look for your top landing pages, the pages that people visit first. And more than likely, it probably is going to be like your home page first and then several other pages. So you can go in and try to find what are those 5 to 10 pages, not including your home page, that are already receiving the most traffic. That way, that they're already receiving a bunch of traffic, so you want to start where the most opportunity is. Then you want to figure out, once you know those top traffic pages, you want to figure out where they're actually going on those pages, how far they're scrolling down, what they're actually clicking on. And you can use a tool to do this called Hotjar, HOTJAR.com. And it will do recordings where it will record the mouse movements of people as they go from page to page to page. And you'll see, if your objective is get more people onto your email list, and you watch their mouse movements and see that they're maybe taking this email form, or they're not doing it at all, that allows you to create a hypothesis, an educated guess that, I need to improve my lead magnet. I need to improve my form. I need to improve my copy. You can actually see how far they're scrolling down, what they're clicking on in your footer, what navigation elements that they're clicking on. That way, you're starting to build up a historical pattern of what people are actually doing on your website and not making any assumptions for that. But there's really one more step, and probably the most important. You can also use Hotjar to pop open a survey or a poll and ask the potential lead or the current visitor what the site is actually missing. What is missing from this page? Or you can actually ask them a survey. If you had a magic wand, how would you improve this website? And the more responses that you can possibly get, the more you're going to understand how to fix the site at hand. So we're not making any assumptions. We're using data to figure out exactly where people are going on your website, what they're actually doing on those pages, and then understanding why or why not they're completing the objectives that you want.
Oh, that's excellent. Hotjar.com. Mm-hmm. That's new, and I have not heard of that one. I have to put that on my website. It's free. That's even better, folks. So Goal Getter Nation, I'm going to put links to hotjar.com on our show notes page at goalgettingpodcast.com/Alex. So you'll have those available for you in a quick, click, and then we'll get you that and other information. Now, Alex, a lot of people like to hire people to do that, and you have a company that does web design. How can people reach you if they wanted to, ask you questions or get more advice on, how to improve their, returns, their optimization of their website?
Yeah, I'm pretty much known everywhere on the web by my Twitter handle, Alex Designs, and my website is of the same name, alexdesigns.com. Right there, you can learn about my free courses. I just put out the new book, Small Business, Big Money Online, which actually takes you through all of these steps to accomplish these goals. And, I love meeting other like-minded entrepreneurs or goal getters out there. So definitely reach out to me at alexdesigns.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. And I'll have links to his website. I'll have links to his Twitter handle there as well, so you can get in touch with him quickly. And of course, we want you to go out there and follow him and listen to his expert advice out there. I think you also have a YouTube channel that I saw that offers advice as well. Yeah,
I'm on all the social networks. My podcast actually is done in video. It's called marketingoptimization.tv, and I do it in video, and then we strip down the audio and put that on iTunes and Stitcher as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, folks. If you want to improve your website design, if you want to improve your lead return, if you return on your investment, you want to increase your sales, check out Alex at his website and follow him on Twitter. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. And also I'll have links to his book, his new book, Small Business, Big Money Online. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. And let's break away to listen to one of our sponsors, Goal Getting Quote of the Day. Hi, Goal Getters. When we interview our guests, we always ask them, what quote hangs on your wall? Most successful entrepreneurs have at least one quote that they love that helps keep them motivated or inspired. And like me, they often have a quote hanging on their wall. Do you have a quote that hangs on your wall? How about your monitor at home or at work? I've put together our goal-getting quote pack for you so you can receive 20 awesome wallpaper-sized quote art images delivered to you monthly to use on your computer at work or at home or however you like. You can even print these beautiful inspirational and motivational pieces of quote art and hang them on your wall like other successful people do. Subscribe to the goal-getting quote pack for only $4.99 a month. Go to goalgettingpodcast.com/images now and sign up to start receiving your 20 awesome new images in your email each month. Go to goalgettingpodcast.com/images today to start receiving your goal getting quote pack for only $4.99 per month. Now, Alex, we're going to get into a Q&A round here, and I want to ask you a few questions for our goal getters. We're all in the process of, achieving and getting the goals that we set. And a lot of times habits can be good for us or they can be bad. We have good habits and bad habits. What are some success habits that you have that help propel you in your success that you've been working with?
Well, we all have these goals and achievements that we want to get to, and we have to push through those barriers, those plateaus to really get there. So I'm really always trying to really work on myself, and I do a lot of that stuff in the morning, the first few hours of my day. And I use some songs and some audio things that I listen to in the morning, along with some meditation, to really kind of visualize and push myself through some of those plateaus. When I was working on my book and I really didn't want to do it anymore, I would listen to these specific tracks that helped me kind of push and get through that next step. So I think that's really been a difference maker in my own life, to kind of push through those plateaus to really understand how much more opportunity that there is.
Oh, excellent. Okay. I've heard people talk about having different things that they read or listen to, but not songs. So if you have a favorite song, that is something you can use to propel you, or a certain type of song, correct?
Yeah, I actually have a playlist on SoundCloud. There's a lot of motivational tracks that are put over like hip hop or punk rock, and they're super motivational. They're basically clips of motivational speakers on top of music, and they literally are telling you, giving you affirmations to tell you that in order to change your life, you need to change your mind. All those, those quotes that you listen to. And you can actually check it out on my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/AlexDesigns.
Okay, soundcloud.com/AlexDesigns. I'll have to check that out. I like that concept there. Okay, cool. So we'll put a link to that, folks, as well on the show notes page. So, Alex, that's a great habit, and we all need to do that more in the morning to get our day going more effectively. So what are some of the books that you recommend? We've got a great book that you now have authored, and a lot of people go to books to get advice and to learn, and we need to do that on a daily basis. What are some books that you recommend to someone trying to achieve their goals?
So it's a good question, and I don't recommend many books, but there's a couple that I go back to and I listen to or read. And I remember, I'm a big Miami Heat fan. I live in South Florida. So I was going when LeBron James was in Miami and he was having a hard time. I remember Pat Riley recommended this book to LeBron James, and it was the Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And the Four Agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And while those agreements are really very simple and easy, they're probably really the most powerful because they apply to anything in your life. You really don't ever want to make assumptions, don't take anything personal, and really always doing your best.
Excellent. Now that's Miguel Ruiz?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. No one's mentioned that before, so that's a great book. I'll have to check that one out as well. Sounds good. So, Alex, what quote hangs on your wall? Do you have a quote that you get motivated by, or that inspires you to keep going during the day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big believer in happy progress. And the quote that I always go back to is: a consistent amount of minor success produces much more happiness than occasionally bagging the elephant.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay. A consistent amount of
minor success produces much more happiness than occasionally bagging an elephant.
Wonderful. That's a new one on me, and I like that one. So we do a quote of the day on Goal Getting podcast, and in the near future, I'm going to probably put that one out there for us. And, of course, you'll get the credit for that. So I appreciate that. It's a good quote. And happy progress, you mentioned. What exactly is happy progress? What do you refer to that?
It really comes down to that progress really equals happiness. If you're able to make small daily actions or changes in habits or your life, then you'll get that compound effect to really make a dramatic difference in whatever objectives or goals that you're really trying to accomplish. Because while we all think about these big dreams and these big achievements that we want to make, we're sometimes thinking way too far, and we should really be focusing on the now. What are those 3 to 5 things that you're going to accomplish in today to meet those really big goals in the future?
Excellent. And that's a really big key to goal getting, and what we talk about here is setting the action plan, setting the small intermediate goals towards that big goal. And then the important part is rewarding yourself for achieving the ones that you do, even the small ones. So that's very much in line. So I like that, the happy progress. I like that term and using that. So I'm going to steal it from you.
No problem. It could be the name of my next book.
All right. You need to. I like that. Cause it's some great points, and it's really true. You have to do that. And again, we focus on a lot of that in the goal getting program that we go by and here on the podcast. So, I like that term. So happy progress is key to, success, folks. And, we want to do that. So Alex, our year is almost up. We're into the last quarter of the year almost, and which is really surprising. It's gone so fast, and typically ask, at the beginning of the year, what are the top 3 goals you have this year? But, what is one of your top goals that you have remaining for the year that you're working on, and how can we help you with that?
Well, I actually just went over this the other day, and I don't know if I have any different goals, but I'm trying to just really maintain the goals for the rest of the year. I'm trying to figure out what my goals would be for next year. And I'll tell you what my goals were for this year. It was to make $10,000 a month. It was to have a best-selling book, and I forget the number of downloads, but to achieve that. So I basically accomplished those 2 goals. And the third one was to become a paid public speaker, and I achieved that one as well.
Oh, excellent. That's one of my goals as well. So, actually, all of them are, but, the main one that I'm working on is being a paid public speaker. So that's very good. So congratulations on achieving your goals there then, and keep going with those. If there's anything we can help you on that, let us know.
Yeah, I would love for you guys to just check out the book. It's only a couple dollars on Amazon. It's really has a lot of information in it, but it's really a short book. There's no fluff. It cuts right to the chase, and it brings you through the system that I use to help small businesses make more money online. And you can check that out at alexdesigns.com/book.
Great, Alex. Thank you. We'll check that out, and I'll have a link to that again on our show notes page. That's the key when you can get good, actionable advice from somebody who knows what they're doing. And that's what my understanding from the testimonials I've heard from people and the conversations that I've heard online is that you provide good, actionable advice in everything that you do. So that's important when we're trying to improve ourselves and improve our websites especially. So,
yeah, thank you.
Now, Alex, again, I want to thank you for your time today. I don't want to go over our scheduled time. I respect your time. I know we're all busy. And one of the things that I typically do before we leave, however, is to ask for parting words of wisdom. What's the best advice that you can give to our listeners that are trying to achieve their goals?
The best advice that I would give to the audience to achieve their goals is try to really work on yourself, really invest in yourself. A lot of people talk about, getting business coaches, and a lot of times we get so involved in what other people are giving us feedback for. So you really have to figure out what your strengths are and really start to really focus on those. Forget about what you're bad about. Forget about your weaknesses, and really just go in and focus on your strengths. Because it's very easy to be jealous of other successful entrepreneurs online. you really want to try to avoid that. Focus really on what your strengths are and how you can really make a difference. And I think you'll be able to really achieve your goals. I think that sounds like pretty obvious advice, but as I've been really doing a lot of philosophy and self-help and personal development, I found that when people start to say the most simplest things and you start to hear it over and over and over, that's probably the most important advice that you should probably have.
Great. Focus on your strengths.
Yes, focus on your strengths.
That's very key, I think. So we sometimes try to focus on too much, and we need to focus on what we have as our strength. So thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. Alex, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you coming on. And folks, if you want to connect with Alex, which I encourage you to do so, we'll have the links, as I mentioned, in the show notes at goalgettingpodcast.com/Alex. He's open to talk with you about your website design. Check out his book online. You can go out there and get that Small Business, Big Money online, and you can pick up a copy at the link on the show notes. Alex, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Tony.